vibe around the election campaign is fairly similar to previous ones. That is, it's extremely lively. There's a lot of street life. There's constant campaigning in the streets. People hanging around red tents, handing out leaflets, playing music loudly. The main differences between this campaign this year compared to the last few years is a greater youth involvement, which perhaps is a result of the creation of the youth of the PSUV, but also just the relevance of the revolution to the youth and the energy that the revolution has. And also the insecurity that we're feeling this time around over whether the opposition will accept the results. In the past, it was fairly certain that they would accept them, whereas this year round they haven't said unequivocally that they'll accept them, and plans have come out that they are making to disrupt the elections so that they can declare fraud on the day. Whether or not they'll do that, we can't be sure, but there's a feeling that they might do it this year. So the other new thing that we have that we didn't have in previous elections is the Polo Patriótico, the organization that unites all the different movements, women's movements, gay movements, workers' movements all around the country, which support Chavez. That's a new grouping, and they will be out on force on Sunday trying to protect the voting booth and trying to ensure that the voting process is smooth and peaceful, and the results are respected. Chavez has been campaigning on basically maintaining and deepening the revolution. He's emphasized the achievements of the revolution over the last 13 to 14 years, the social missions, the movements, participation, and so on. Capriles' campaign has been quite superficial and empty, and it's mostly been based on a false discourse that sort of is an imitation of Chavez. I think he realizes that the support that Chavez has had, and he's caught between trying to be anti-Chavez but also imitate Chavez to try to steal some of that support. So he's been talking about supporting the missions, even though that's not his intention at all. And he's also been campaigning on some of the weaknesses of the revolution, which people feel is the issue of security and crime. And then other things that people blame on Chavez, even though there's not necessarily a basis for that, such as the power failures or the supposed shortage of food. Well, since Chavez came to government in 1998, poverty has been reduced from around 70% to 25%, and extreme poverty has been reduced from 25% to, I think, it's 6%. So those statistics reflect an enormous change in the reality, in the daily reality for the majority of Venezuelans. All Venezuelans who support the revolution recognize that those poverty statistics have to be reduced to zero, but at the same time, very significant progress has been made. Obviously, in health, people now have easy access to health. And the life expectancy has gone up, though I can't remember the exact numbers. Literacy was declared a few years into the revolution, complete literacy. So the literacy rates in Venezuela are now higher than those in the United States. And possibly one of the most important gains has been the political involvement of the people. That is, the people now are a lot more aware of their country's history, their country's laws, and their own rights and responsibilities in relation to their country. And there are a means for them to express their opinion and to be involved in the solution to the problems that they're affected by. not just through the communal councils, the community organizations, but also through the explosion in alternative and community media, in radio, television stations, print media, online websites, and through the explosion in general movement organization. The closing campaign rally here in Caracas on Sunday for Capriles was enormous. And likewise, the campaign, the rallies when Chavez has been touring the different states have also been enormous. The big difference between the two sides is that no one has been participating in the daily campaigning for Capriles, that they've had no daily street presence. And the few people that we've seen on the street have been people that are being paid by Capriles to sell T-shirts and to hand out propaganda, and they have nowhere near the same sort of energy and enthusiasm as the hundreds of people you see in any city that are on the street. You will have 50 people on one street corner campaigning for Chavez to loud music, dancing, and excitedly handing out leaflets to passers-by, to people in their cars. And I think that's the main difference, rather than the concentration turnouts, which have been big on both sides.